Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the order of operations and using PEMDAS. So basically, the order of operations is useful in order to determine which order we should evaluate expressions in. So the order is as follows. We should start with brackets or parentheses, right? That's the P part of the PEMDAS is parentheses. Then we have E, which is for exponents. So after we finish parentheses, we should do exponents next. Then M and D stand for multiplication and division, and those actually we should do at the same time, just from left to right. And the last two are addition and subtraction, right? And those are the last things we do, and we also do those in order from left to right. So I'm going to give 3 examples in this video. We'll start with a pretty simple example, and then we'll get into 2 more complex examples. So this first one says 3 times 2 to the power 4. So the question is, should I multiply the 3 by 2 first and then take the result to the power 4? Or should I find 2 to the power 4 and multiply the result by 3? Well, the order of operations will tell us. Recall that P is the first thing in PEMDAS and stands for parentheses. In this case, we don't have any parentheses, so we can skip that one for this question. Then we have E, which stands for exponents, and we do have an exponent. 2 to the power 4 is an exponent, and so therefore we must evaluate that exponent before we do the multiplication, because multiplication doesn't come until the next one. So what is 2 to the power of 4? Well, 2 to the power 4 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, because 2 is our base, and 4 is our power, which means we should multiply it by itself, the base, 4 times, since 4 is our power. So we're going to end up with 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 16. So the answer is 3 times 16. And then 3 times 16 is 48. Right after we finish evaluating that power and getting 16, we then can move on to multiplication and get 48, and we're done. Now I know there is also division, addition, subtraction in this list as well. However, in this case, we didn't have any of those things, so we didn't have to do any of them. And so in some questions, there might just be 2 operations, and we just need to know where they are relative to one another. In other questions, we might actually end up using most, if not all of them. So it really just depends on the question. Okay, let's move on to a more complex example here. The first thing I'm going to do is P for parentheses. So are there any parentheses? Well, yes, there are. Right over here, we have negative 3 squared in parentheses. So basically, in this particular situation, what is negative 3 squared? Well, in this case, it's not saying negative 3 in brackets squared. It's saying negative 3 squared, all of it in brackets. So what this is saying, essentially, is that it's the negative version of 3 squared. Now, 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9. So this will be the negative version of 9, is going to be what negative 3 squared is in this case. Everything else I'm just going to write as is, except for this. Now, we still have brackets that I would like to, do a little bit more with. Here we have plus the negative version of 9. Now, what is plus minus 9? Well, recall that that just means minus 9. If we add a negative number, that's the same as subtracting. So this is equal to 4 squared minus 8 divided by 2 minus 9. So everything else is just copied. Okay, now there's no more brackets, so now we should move on to E for exponents. Are there any exponents? Well, yes, 4 squared is an exponent. 4 squared is equal to 4 times 4, which is 16. So in my next line, I'll be replacing it with 16. Next, we're going to do multiplication and division, right? Next in PEMDAS is multiplication and division together. Now, I don't see any multiplication, but I do see division. I see 8 divided by 2. Now, 8 divided by 2 is 4, so it's going to be 16 minus 4 minus 9. Next and last, we can do addition and subtraction. Here in this case, there's only subtraction, so we'll just do it from left to right. So 16 minus 4 is 12, and 12 minus 9 is 3. So therefore, the answer overall is 3. So this whole big, long, complex expression really just simplifies to 3. All right, let's move on to this last example for today. This will be our last one today. Let's start with the first thing, which is parentheses. So are there any parentheses? Yes, there are. 3 plus 2 is in parentheses. So we're going to answer it first. 3 plus 2 is 5, so I will be replacing 3 plus 2 with 5. Next, we will do exponents. Are there any exponents? Well, yes, there are. There is 5 squared and there's 3 squared. Now, 5 squared is equal to 5 times 5, which is 25. And then 3 squared is equal to 3 times 3, which is 9. Then our last part is to do, or our next part I should say, is to do multiplication and division. In this case, I don't see any division, but I do see multiplication of 4 times 9. So this will be 25 minus 4 times 9, which is 36. And then lastly, we'll be doing addition and subtraction, which is going to be 25 minus 36, which is negative 11. So this entire expression just simplifies to negative 11. As always, if you have any questions about that, please feel free to leave those in the comments section, and we'll see you for the next one.